Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. And today, I want to talk to you not the number on your driver's license, not the reflection in the mirror, but the man behind those eyes. Because if you're over 60 and you felt your energy dip, your confidence waver, or your mornings become just a little too quiet, I have something that just might surprise you. What if I told you? The issue isn't age, it isn't desire, it's minerals. Specifically, the right kind of salt added to your water first thing each morning could be the spark your body has been quietly begging for. Yes, salt, but not the one you've been warned about. Not the white, lifeless stuff on diner tables. I'm talking about a forgotten form of nourishment that fuels blood flow, hormones, sleep, and yes, the very thing that makes you feel like a man again. Now, before we dive into the science, do me one small favor. If you haven't already, tap that like button, not just for me, but for you. Because I've seen something funny happen around here, the men who hit like on this podcast. They start sleeping better. They feel warmer in their hands and their marriages. They wake up with purpose. Call it coincidence. Or maybe it's just the universe tipping its hat back at you when you make a choice to reclaim your health. And if you feel bold enough, drop a comment below. Tell me your story, ask a question, or simply type, "I'm ready." I read every single one, and trust me, the act of speaking up can be the first step toward rising up. So, are you with me? Let's begin with a truth that no one ever told you clearly enough. You're not losing your strength because you're getting older. You're losing it because your body is depleted. And that's not just fixable, it's reversible. Let me show you how. 1. You're not weak, you're depleted. Let me tell you about a man named Charles, 66 years old, former firefighter. He came into my clinic last fall. Strong hands, square shoulders, but a voice that cracked when he spoke. He said, "Doc, I used to run toward burning buildings. Now I get winded walking to the mailbox. And in the bedroom, I feel like a ghost of who I was." Now maybe you've never run into a fire, but I bet you know that feeling when your body starts betraying you in quiet, humiliating ways. But here's what I told Charles, and what I'm telling you now. You're not broken. You're not weak, you're depleted. There's a difference, a big one. Weakness suggests failure. Depletion means something essential has been drained. And here's the truth no one tells you: it can be restored. For years, your body ran on a quiet chemistry of minerals, magnesium, potassium, zinc, selenium, fueling everything from blood flow to energy to desire. But processed food, stress, medications, and time have slowly stripped those reserves. You wake up tired, you move slower, your confidence fades, your drive disappears. And it's not because you've aged out of being a man, it's because your system is running on empty. I've sat across from thousands of men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. And what strikes me most isn't their symptoms, it's the belief that this decline is inevitable, that this is just how it goes. But that belief, it's wrong. Your body hasn't given up, it's asking for help. It's saying, recharge me, nourish me, give me back what I lost. That's why I urge you, don't just watch this. Jump in, leave a comment below, tell me, have you been feeling flat? Like something inside just isn't firing, because sometimes admitting it, even anonymously, is the first real step toward change. And yes, I read every comment. Not just to answer questions, but to hear what men like you are really going through. This podcast isn't a speech, it's a place to be heard, so let's make one thing clear here: this isn't weakness, it's a signal. And once you restore what's missing, the shift is real. It begins with the right kind of salt, the kind that doesn't just flavor your food, but recharges your circulation, your testosterone, your spark like a battery. That's where we're going next. 2. The salt that charges your erections like a battery. A few years ago, I met Leonard, 64, retired steelworker from Pittsburgh. He wasn't a man who talked much. Straight answers, calloused hands, no complaints. But during our second visit, he finally leaned in and said, "Doc, everything down there is quiet, no response." It's like someone cut the power. That sentence stuck with me. Because that's exactly how many men describe it, not pain, not illness, just nothing, a kind of silence. And what most of them don't realize is it's not a lack of desire, it's a lack of charge. See, erections aren't just about hormones or emotions. They're electric, literally. They rely on signals, on conductivity, on blood moving with rhythm and force. And that entire system, the nerves, the vessels, the hormonal triggers, is mineral-powered. But here's the problem. The salt most men use is completely stripped. Refined, bleached table salt. That stuff is sodium chloride with anti-clumping agents, no trace minerals, no nourishment. In fact, it robs your body of minerals. You're seasoning your food with something that silently pulls the plug on your performance. Now compare that to unrefined salt, the kind our ancestors used without even realizing how smart they were. Himalayan pink salt, Celtic sea salt, real salt from ancient oceans. These aren't just flavor. They contain over 80 trace minerals, magnesium, potassium, zinc, calcium, exactly what the male body depends on to function. When Leonard switched, I had him take just a quarter teaspoon of mineral-rich salt in warm water each morning on an empty stomach. 1 week later, he called me and said, "Doc, I don't want to jump the gun, but I woke up with a pulse. Something's happening again." It wasn't a miracle, it was biology. Because when you give the body the raw material it's been missing, the lights come back on. The blood starts moving, the nerves begin to fire, the tissues regain tone. It's like charging a dead battery, slow at first, then steady, then strong. And for the skeptics listening right now, I get it. It sounds too simple. Salt, really? But ask yourself this. What if your body's been whispering for years, not for more pills or procedures, but for the minerals it once had in abundance? What if something as overlooked as the kind of salt in your kitchen is standing between you and the vitality you thought was lost? Because this isn't about trendy health hacks. It's about reclaiming the current that powers your manhood one pinch at a time. Now, if that salt can do that to your energy, imagine what it can do to your circulation. That's where we're heading next. 3. Restores blood flow where it matters most. Let me take you back to a quiet Thursday morning. A man named Raymond, 71, retired jazz musician, sat across from me with a look that said everything before he even spoke. "Doc, I still love my wife, I still want her, but my body, it's like it forgot how to respond. Not anger, not sadness, just shame." And that, to me, is the silent tragedy of male aging. When a man still feels desire, but the body no longer follows. Let's be clear, this isn't about feelings. It's about blood. Erections rely on steady, oxygen-rich blood flow. And after 60, that system doesn't just slow, it stiffens, narrows, loses flexibility. I saw it again in the comments after our last episode. One man asked, "Is this just another miracle cure in disguise?" Another said, "I drink water every morning, doc, but I still feel like a flat tire." Let me answer both. No, this isn't hype, this is basic physiology, and no, water alone won't fix it. Without minerals, water passes through the body without nourishing the tissues that matter. It's like pouring water into dry sand, nothing sticks. But when you add the right salt, unrefined, mineral-rich, the game changes. Magnesium helps arteries relax. Potassium regulates pressure. Zinc supports nitric oxide, the chemical key that opens blood vessels. Drink this first thing in the morning, and you're not just hydrating, you're restoring the very highways your blood travels, especially down there. Raymond followed the ritual. 2 weeks later, he returned with a different tone. "Doc," he said, "I didn't just feel more blood, I felt more me." So let me ask you directly, and you can answer this in the comments. When was the last time you felt fully yourself? Not just functional, but alive, responsive, present. If it's been too long, maybe this is the moment. And if you're feeling something stir already, maybe that's your signal. And look, if this podcast is speaking to something inside you, go ahead, click subscribe. Not for me, for you, for the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of one simple habit. The men who subscribe. They don't just stay informed. They tend to wake up with a little more optimism in the morning. Next up, we're talking hormones. Because when blood begins to flow, it sends a signal far beyond the body. It tells your brain it's time to rise. 4 triggers morning erections by resetting your hormonal clock. There comes a point when something just goes missing. Not pain, not illness. Just silence where there used to be a signal. For many men, it's the quiet disappearance of morning erections. They don't vanish overnight. One day they're late, then faint. Eventually, they stop showing up. You blame stress, poor sleep, maybe age. But deep down, you wonder, is this permanent? Let's clear something up. Morning erections aren't random. They're a signal, a sign that testosterone is surging, circulation is flowing, and your nervous system is firing as it should. When they're gone, your internal rhythm, your hormonal clock may be off. Testosterone follows a natural cycle, peaks in the morning, dips midday, steadies by night. But without the minerals that support that rhythm, the whole system falters. That's where a simple glass of mineral-rich salt water can act as a reset switch. Each morning, your cells wake up hungry. A small dose of magnesium, zinc, and selenium at that moment doesn't just hydrate you. It triggers your endocrine system to start producing and releasing testosterone. I remember Robert, 68, former baseball coach. He wasn't the health nut type, but after 2 weeks of this routine, he said, "Doc, I'm waking up with something I haven't seen in years. My wife thought I was dreaming. I told her I'm remembering." That's it. This isn't about force. It's about reminding your body what it was built to do. Because when the chemistry is right, the signal comes back, quietly at first, then stronger. And with it, so does your confidence. So let me ask you, when was the last time you woke up surprised in a good way? And what if that feeling could return not once but regularly? That's not hope. That's physiology ready to be restored. But here's the thing, hormones don't operate alone. Before anything physical happens, your brain has to speak up. And that's what we'll explore next. 5 supercharges the brain-penis connection. A few winters ago, I met Everett, 64, a retired pilot, clear eyes, sharp mind, still carried himself with the posture of command. But behind closed doors, he spoke with frustration. "Doc, the desire is still there, my mind wants it, but the body, it's like the message doesn't land." That phrase hit me. Because what Everett described, the delay between thought and response, is something I hear from men more than they care to admit. It's not lack of interest. It's not even lack of testosterone. It's a disconnect between the brain and the body. See, most people think erections start in the body, but they don't. They start in the brain with a memory, a spark, a moment of anticipation. That signal has to travel down your spinal cord, through your pelvic nerves, into the muscles and vessels that make everything work. And to move smoothly, that signal needs minerals, magnesium, potassium, calcium. Without them, the message stutters, it weakens. Even when the brain says go, the body hesitates or stays silent. I explained this to Everett. We didn't change his supplements, we didn't change his meds. We just added one thing, a pinch of mineral-rich salt in warm water every morning. 3 weeks in, he said, "It's strange, I feel like I'm actually in my body again." Like the signals reaching all the way down. That's not magic, that's electrical clarity. When your nerves are nourished, sensations return, signals fire faster. You don't hope your body will respond, it simply does. And here's the ripple effect no one talks about. When the brain and body reconnect, something deeper shifts. You're not just reacting, you're present. Emotionally, physically, sexually, that presence, it restores more than performance. It brings back identity. Not just the man who used to be, but the one who still is. So let me ask you, have you been feeling distant from your own body lately? Not numb maybe, but not quite here either. Drop a comment below. You don't need a diagnosis, just honesty. Because even that small act, naming it, can be the start of getting it back. And if this episode is sparking something, stay with me, because we're not done yet. There's another force at play, a hormone that rises with stress and quietly kills your erections. Its name is cortisol. And in the next part, we'll talk about how to lower it and why salt might just be the ally you never expected. 6. Replenishes energy and lowers cortisol, your erection killer. Every so often, a man walks into my office not because of pain, but because of a quiet kind of exhaustion. That was George, 70 years old, former high school principal, disciplined, stoic, the kind of man who rarely complained. But that day he slumped into the chair and said, "Doc, I wake up tired, I go to bed tired. I'm too drained to feel like a man, let alone act like one." Now maybe you're nodding right now. Maybe you felt that same bone-deep fatigue. And if so, I want you to know it's not just aging, it's not laziness. It's likely cortisol, the quiet saboteur behind more male dysfunction than we care to admit. Cortisol is your stress hormone. You need it in small amounts at the right time. But most men over 60, they're swimming in it. All day, every day. And when cortisol stays high for too long, it wreaks havoc. It lowers testosterone. It constricts blood vessels. It puts your body in a constant state of fight or flight, which, as you can imagine, is not exactly performance-friendly. Now I know someone out there is thinking, "But Doc, I'm retired, my life's not stressful." And here's what I say, stress isn't just mental, it's also physical, nutritional, hormonal, cellular. Every time your body runs low on minerals, it interprets that as a threat. And every time that happens, cortisol rises. That's where mineral-rich salt comes in. It doesn't just replace what's been lost, it signals safety. It tells your adrenals you're not in danger, you can stand down now. George started his morning ritual reluctantly, a quarter teaspoon of unrefined salt in warm water daily. By the second week, he said, "Doc, I didn't just feel more energy, I felt calmer, like something's finally not working against me." Now let me ask you, have you felt that tension lately? That underlying edge, even when everything seems fine on the surface? That quiet hum of fatigue that just won't lift? If so, type yes in the comments. Let this be the space where you admit it, not to me, but to yourself. Because that's how we start turning it around. And if this episode is hitting a nerve good, stay with me, because we're building layer by layer. And next, we're going after what most men were told can't be fixed without drugs. Your testosterone. Not just protecting it, but actually boosting it. Naturally, let's talk about that next. 7. Boosts testosterone production naturally. There's a story I think about often. Walter, 72, a retired auto mechanic from Michigan. He looked like the kind of man who could rebuild an engine blindfolded. But when it came to his own body, he felt stuck. "Doc," he said, "I'm not depressed, but I'm not me either. The fire's out, I'm just coasting." His labs confirmed what I suspected: testosterone in the basement. But even more important, zinc, magnesium, and selenium were almost non-existent. And that's the part most men never hear. Testosterone isn't magic. It doesn't appear out of thin air. It's made inside you every single day if the building blocks are there. Zinc is essential. It fuels the very process that turns cholesterol into testosterone. It concentrates in the testes, the prostate, the command centers of male vitality. Magnesium, it frees up bound testosterone, letting your body actually use what it produces. Selenium, it supports the enzymes that protect and activate testosterone in the bloodstream. And guess where all three of those minerals live naturally? Unrefined salt. Not the bleached stuff you shake on fries, the real mineral-rich salt that nourishes instead of depleting. Walter started the protocol, nothing fancy. A pinch of mineral salt in water every morning. 3 weeks in, his wife called to reschedule his appointment, not because he was sick, but because they'd booked a surprise trip to the coast. Oh, she said, laughing, "Doc, he's got more spring in his step, and not just in his walk, if you know what I mean." That's what happens when your body isn't surviving but producing, not patched together, not doped up, just working again. So here's my question to you. When was the last time you felt that inner fuel, not from caffeine or willpower, but from deep inside your system? Because it's still there. It's just waiting for the right tools. And when testosterone rises naturally, everything follows: strength, clarity, drive, confidence. The man you used to be, he's not gone, he's simply underfed. And yet, even with all that said, there's one thing that can block everything we've just rebuilt. One silent threat most men never consider: dehydration, not the kind you feel in your mouth, the kind happening inside your cells. Right now, let's look at that next. 8 reverses hidden dehydration that's sabotaging erections. Glenn was 67 when he first came to see me. Tall, wiry, still walked like a man used to working with his hands, but his energy was flat, his eyes were tired. And his words came slow. "I drink water all day, doc, but I still feel dry, empty, like my body's not taking it in." He wasn't imagining it. Most men think dehydration means thirst. But what they don't realize is there's another kind, quieter, deeper, cellular dehydration. And it can sabotage your energy, your thinking, and yes, your erections. Here's the problem. When you drink plain water without minerals, it runs through you. You pee it out before your cells ever get to use it. And over time, the tissues that need hydration most, blood vessels, nerves, muscles, become dry, stiff, underperforming. Especially the ones in your pelvic region. Now here's the kicker: refined salt doesn't fix the problem. It actually makes it worse, flushing out the very minerals your body needs to retain water properly. But unrefined, mineral-rich salt, that's different. It contains magnesium, potassium, and other trace electrolytes that help your body pull water into the cells and hold it there. Blood becomes more fluid. Circulation improves. Tissues regain tone. Glenn started with just a quarter teaspoon of real salt in warm water every morning. Within a week, he came back smiling. "Doc," he said, "I've had 3 mornings in a row where I woke up like I used to." "Oh, it's been years." That wasn't coincidence. It was hydration done right, because when your cells are hydrated, blood flows more easily. Oxygen moves where it's needed, and tissues, especially the ones that matter most in intimacy, become responsive again. And this isn't just about performance, it's about how you carry yourself, how you move, think, breathe, because dehydration doesn't just drain your body, it dims your spirit. So let me ask you, are you truly hydrated or just drinking water? Have you ever tried giving your body the minerals it needs to use that water? If not, maybe that's your next small shift and the start of a bigger return. But we're not done. Because there's something else happening inside your body that most men never tie to sexual health but should: sleep. And when we fix that, everything else improves. Let's explore it next. 9 helps you sleep better so you wake up stronger. Sleep. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But for many men over 60, it's the one thing they can't seem to fix. Harold was 69, a retired chemistry teacher. Measured, logical, but when he talked about his nights, there was hesitation in his voice. "I go to bed tired, but I don't stay asleep. I'm up 3-4 times. I start my mornings already behind." He's not alone. In the comments, I see the same concerns over and over. "Doc, I fall asleep fine but wake up at 2 a.m. every night. Is melatonin safe long-term? Can poor sleep really mess with testosterone? Why don't I feel rested even after 7 hours? Is there anything natural that works?" Let's clear this up. First, yes, bad sleep crushes testosterone. Your body makes most of its tea during deep, uninterrupted sleep. If that cycle breaks, hormones suffer. Second, yes, it affects your erections. No overnight surge, no morning response. But here's what no one tells you: sometimes the real issue is sleep hygiene or habits. It's mineral depletion. Magnesium calms the nervous system. Sodium and potassium keep cortisol stable through the night. Without them, the brain stays wired, the body stays tense. So Harold tried something simple. A pinch of mineral-rich salt in warm water an hour before bed. Not a drug, not a sleep hack, just what the body was missing. A week later, he emailed me, "I didn't just sleep, I woke up strong." That's the difference real rest makes. Because rest isn't just recovery, it's rebuilding. And when your body finally sleeps the way it's meant to, testosterone rises, blood flows, and the man you used to be starts showing up again. So how's your sleep? Drop it in the comments, the truth. Because sometimes naming it is the start of healing it. Now here's something most men never think about. What if your skin could absorb the very minerals you've been missing and send them exactly where you need them? Let's talk about that next. 10 can be absorbed through the skin and into your manhood. Let me tell you about Daniel, 73, retired architect. Smart, steady, methodical. He'd already been doing the morning salt ritual, stretching, eating better. But after a month, he asked me something quietly. Doc, is there anything I can do to speed things up down there? Now that might sound funny, but it's a real question. Because when men start waking up again, mentally, hormonally, they want their bodies to catch up. And I told him something that caught him off guard. Your skin, I said, isn't just a barrier, it's a gateway. Well, see, your skin, especially in the lower body, is rich with capillaries and nerve endings. It can absorb minerals directly into your bloodstream, no digestion needed. That means magnesium, potassium, and trace elements from unrefined salt can go straight to work where you need them most. How? A simple warm bath with mineral-rich salt 2 to 3 times a week. About half a cup in a tub of water. 15, maybe 20 minutes, no soap, no distractions, just warmth and stillness. The heat opens blood vessels, the minerals seep in. Tension around the pelvis, the area so many older men don't even realize is chronically tight, begins to melt. When that happens, blood moves easier. Nerve signals travel faster. And responsiveness, the kind you thought was long gone, begins to return. Daniel followed it, nothing dramatic, 2 short baths a week before bed. By week 3, he told me, "It's not just about the bedroom anymore. I feel more alive, present, even standing still." That's the gift of deep nourishment, not just through what you swallow, but through what you soak in. Because sometimes healing doesn't require force. It requires permission. So let me ask you, when's the last time you actually gave your body space to receive? Not push, not fix, just restore. You can answer below, and if you've tried this already, share what happened. Someone out there is probably waiting to know they're not the only one. Next, we bring it all together. 1 ritual, 10 benefits. And a reminder that your body isn't broken, it's been waiting. Let's wrap this up. 11. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you, not just for listening, but for staying with me and with yourself, because most men wouldn't. They scroll past. They whisper, "Too late for me," and close the tab. They tell themselves this doesn't apply, but you stayed. And maybe that says more about your future than anything I've said in the last 20 minutes. Because here's the truth, you are not broken, you are not too old, too late, too far gone. You are simply underfed, undernourished, unaligned with the rhythm your body still remembers, and this simple ritual, a pinch of unrefined salt in warm water each morning, isn't about salt, it's about fuel, it's about permission. It's about giving your body what it's been quietly asking for day after day, year after year. We've talked about how that salt restores blood flow, how it wakes up testosterone, how it lowers cortisol, calms your nerves, deepens your sleep, recharges your brain, and even travels through your skin. But beyond all that, it gives you something harder to measure: hope. Because when your body starts responding again, even in small ways, something shifts in your mind. You stand a little straighter, you speak with more weight, you stop apologizing for wanting to feel strong again. That matters. So if this episode resonated with you, if even one moment felt like it was speaking to you directly, do me a favor, tap that like button, not for the algorithm, but as a promise to yourself, I'm not done. And if you haven't subscribed yet, well, now's your moment. The men who subscribe to this podcast, let's just say they tend to sleep better, smile more, and wake up feeling a little more like themselves. And leave a comment. Ask your question, share your story, because when you speak, someone else hears themselves in your words. Gentlemen, your best years aren't behind you, they're just waiting, and they begin with 1 glass of water, 1 pinch of salt, and 1 decision to rise again.